Welcome back, folks. I'm Frizz, and today I'd like to take some time to talk about how Pathfinder 2e handles multiclassing, and why I think that it's a better system than traditional multiclassing. I know that this is just my opinion, so it's obviously biased, but I really do feel like Pathfinder 2e does it the best. Alright, so the basics of multiclassing in Pathfinder 2e are pretty simple. Instead of spending the class feats that you get on feats specific to your particular class, you can instead use them to take archetypes, which includes multi-class archetypes. Essentially, you can spend class feats to get access to some abilities and feats from other classes, but at a much slower rate than would be normal for a character who isn't actually that class. Basically, if you're playing a fighter who takes the barbarian multi-class archetype, you get a couple barbarian abilities in exchange for class feats, but you are not a full barbarian and you don't have all the barbarian abilities. Now let's talk about how multiclassing is done in Pathfinder 1e and D&D 5e real quick. Basically, whenever you level up, you can choose to get a level in whatever class you already have, so like going from level 1 to level 2 fighter, or you can take a level in a completely different class that you actually qualify for. So leveling up as a level 1 fighter and instead taking a level of wizard. This means that you would get literally everything that a class would give you normally, but you don't get anything from your first class. The main reason why I'm not a fan of this system is pretty simple. It's not that fun to finally get to be able to play a class only to have to give up all of their high level abilities whenever you want to multi-class. If I'm going to be playing a wizard for probably the only time in like 3 to 4 years, I want to be able to cast my high level spells. I do have another reason for disliking this multi-class system though, which is honestly pretty simple. Basically, multiclassing is either an incredibly powerful option, or it's absolutely terrible for your character's power. In my experience, the only people who have multiclassed in games that I've been in either were min-maxing the hell out of their character, or it was their first time playing a TTRPG, and they had no idea what they were doing. Basically, multiclassing is either terrible, or you're multiclassing into a Hexblade Warlock in 5e to get Charisma to attack and damage, or multiclassing into an Unchained Rogue in Pathfinder 1e to get that sweet, sweet weapon finesse and sneak attack. Pathfinder 2e's multiclass system isn't perfect, but in my mind it really just makes better characters, and it's a bit more balanced. Since you get all of your class features no matter what you do with your class feats, you're always going to have a good baseline of power, and you'll always feel like your class actually matters. Even if you spend all of your wizard feats on multi-class archetypes, you're still actually going to feel like a wizard, despite the fact that you might have a variety of different multi-classes. What makes this whole system work is the fact that multi-class archetypes aren't the only type of archetype. If they were, it wouldn't be great, but the fact that there are so many archetypes, it really, really improves the system. Paizo continues to release more and more archetypes to fit specific character options, and multiclassing as a mechanic isn't as important as is picking the right archetype. Well, yeah, generally multi-class archetypes are going to be the strongest ones since you get access to other classes' class feats, but there is probably going to be an archetype out there that fits your specific character concept better than a specific class does. Like, do you want to take the rogue archetype to play a stealthy assassin, or do you want the literal assassin archetype? I guess what this ultimately comes down to is that I've seen way, way more classing in Pathfinder 2e than all of my experience in other TTRPGs. Again, all of my previous experience was either people who didn't know what they were doing, or were people who played a gunslinger up to level 5 before multiclassing because there wasn't much of a point to leveling up past level 5 as a gunslinger in Pathfinder 1e. I just love the archetype system in Pathfinder 2e, so sue me. Thanks for watching. Multiclassing is an interesting subject since everyone's experience with it is basically subjective by necessity. You may have had nobody multiclass in a campaign you're in, or you might have had someone come in with a totally original Hexblade Paladin. I hope that I was able to give the subject justice. Let me know what you think about it down below in a comment. And until I see you next, live a wonderful life.